Welcome back to Is This a Great Game or What? We are joined by the greatest catcher of all time, Johnny Bench. Thanks for being with us, Johnny.
Always a pleasure.
This is my son, Jeff. He's got my voice and my height, unfortunately. I passed them both along.
Sometimes that works out. He ought to be a disc jockey or a radio man or go into the pipes. You know, all of a sudden you go into the radio voice and we start doing. Yeah, we can fake it if we need to. But, Jeff, nice to see you.
Johnny, thank you so much for joining the show. You were the number one choice for guests when we were going to have a chance to do this from the Hall of Fame. And my dad has told this story a number of times. When he was asked to be a member of the Hall of Fame under the baseball writers, you gave him a call right after he found out. Do you remember that phone call?
Of course. I call all the, I mean, it's not particularly, I mean, it's not one of a kind. I mean, obviously I admired Tim and respected him for so long. And enjoy more than anybody, you know, the way he treats the game, the way he broadcasts the game, the way he funds of the game, how it all evolves. But I call all the new inductees to try to welcome them. I think it's important for me to do. I don't do it for the hall, or I don't do it. I just do it for myself.
Johnny, you told me that day, you said, Tim, it's moments like this that take you back to Little League. And I was just about ready to cry again. And you said, and let's face it, Tim, you could still fit into a Little League uniform. Do you think that was really necessary to tell me that?
Well, it was a Kurkjian thing. You know, there are Kurkjian things in our lives that everybody still, I know, I get such a kick out of you when when the people emulate you. And I never could. I don't have that kind of voice, but...
Well, it's good that you...
But you're self-deprecating in so many ways. You accept it, you believe it. That's why I admire and respect you, and that's why it was easy to call you especially for your Hall of Fame and selection and induction.
Right. Johnny, you came to my speech, and people asked you, why are you going to Tim Kurkjian's speech? And you said, well, I need to see him cry. And I came through, didn't I?
You did. Right. You did. And if you can't, I mean, there's no emotional feelings. I mean, when you think how many years back, you know, when you first had 3.5 years old, and I'm telling people I want to be a Major League Baseball player, and, you know, and they do. And then second grade, Mrs. Rosser asked, what do you want to be? And I said, I want to be a Major League Baseball player, and all the kids laughed. And the 8th grade, they asked, what do you want to be? And I want to be a Major League Baseball player, and they laughed.
Right. Because
in the 8th grade, I got in school a year early, so I was 5'2", same size hands, same size feet, same size head. So nobody. So the only people scouting me at that time was Barnum and Bailey. I wasn't. So nobody believed it. Then I grew 9 inches the next 2 years, and in my junior year, they didn't laugh so much.
Is that right?
Yeah.
All right, let's just finish up with you also came to our party that night. You were the only player that came to our party.
Well, nobody else likes you, Tim.
Johnny, you stayed there for 90 minutes. It was unbelievable. And all my friends met you. It was like the biggest thrill that they've ever had. But before
the family was there. I mean, you brought a whole family. It was cool.
Jeff, if you remember at the party the night before, I go to Johnny so I can introduce him to my 2 brothers, Matt and Annie. And I said, Johnny, we want to get some pictures. Could you help us with some pictures? So we wanted to take a picture with you. Instead, what did you do?
I took pictures of the family.
Even better, he's dragging chairs across the venue to set her. Okay, you sit here. Matt, you're here. Tim, you're here.
It was beautiful. Photos. And then finally, after 10 minutes, I say, Johnny, we need a picture of you with the family. So he hands his camera to this other gentleman and says, can you take pictures of me with the Kurkjian family? And you handed the camera to Paul Molitor, who had more hits than Willie Mays. Which, I mean, what a night that was for us.
But we're all Hall of Famers, and that was the fun part of it. Did the pictures turn out?
Oh, they were great. Johnny, I have a digital photograph machine at my home, which runs 24 hours a day. And you're in about 10 of the pictures, like snapping pictures of us. It was absolutely priceless.
In spirit of this podcast, it's just a digital frame. A digital photograph machine sounds like something from 1961.
Hey, leave us alone, okay? If you want to be smart, okay, fine, but leave us alone now. Don't get us involved.
So Johnny, I'm not sure you remember this. What happened after the big party? Tell us, Jeff.
So Dad has this great weekend in 2022, and we had this party after his speech, and you were there, as Dad mentioned. But I don't know if you realized we had a bus coming, but you had gotten in the car to head back towards the Otesaga and hitched a ride with my cousin, his niece.
Yes, that's right.
And you sat. Do you remember?
Well, you couldn't avoid getting in a car with a Kurkjian. Everybody was in. Everybody in the family.
Right.
Everybody in the state. Everybody in the country were all there.
And you sat in the back of their minivan.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
With their two children under 2.
Infant children.
Yeah.
And you didn't just sit there and squeeze in. You were singing.
I sang lullabies. Yeah, we had to do the stuff. We had to keep them happy.
Johnny, you're the greatest catcher of all time. Why would you do something like that?
I'm a used to was. We were. Oh.
So Johnny, I told my niece Anna. I said, "Do you know who you drove back to town?"
Anna, you gotta be 50 years old to know even heard of me.
I said, "He's the greatest catcher ever," and she went, "What? I had no idea." So we learned something. All right, so Johnny, let's pivot to baseball. Your induction was in 1989. You went in with Carl Yastrzemski, Al Barlick, and Red Schoendienst, okay?
I did.
What was that day like for you?
Well, the thing I remember the most is that they flew us in from Cincinnati on a charter, and my mom and dad, and we got the limo, picked us up. We drove to the front of the hotel, and I said, checked in, and I said, I'm going to go unpack. I went upstairs. I came out of the room. I'm walking down the hall. And here's Enos Slaughter. Hey, I just met your dad. I get the elevator. Pee Wee Reese comes off the elevator. Hey, I just met your dad. I get down in the lobby. Ted Williams said, hey, I just met your dad. My dad's got Roy Campanella around the neck in the wheelchair talking to him. So in my induction speech, I introduced the family except my dad, and I said, I would introduce my dad, but I'm sure most of you have met him by now. So my dad had wanted to be a major league catcher. And the war came along. He served 2 hitches. So when he came out, it was too late. He had the family. And so I always say I didn't go in. My dad went in. It was very special.
That's amazing. And I mean, that's what this father-son podcast, it's the greatest thing in the world. The relationship you've had with your father and that I have with mine is incredible. Now, being a dad, I appreciate it even more.
Tell us about your first All-Star game in '68.
Well, I was chosen as an alternate. You know, I think it was Tom Haller and Jerry Grody or Rodney Hundley, and I was chosen as a third catcher. And I'm sitting in this locker in the Astrodome, and I'm just watching, you know, everybody go by. You know, here's Bob Gibson, here's Willie McCovey, and Willie's sitting straight across from me in the locker room. I mean, he right over at that, and he got up and walked over and said, "You should have been the starting catcher." I didn't need anything else in my life.
Right.
That meant everything to me. Oh. And it was the 9th inning, and they're telling Red to put me in. Well, I don't have any other catchers. He said he's not going to get hurt. Put him in. So I caught the 9th inning of that ball game, and I it was a just unbelievable moment for me. Wow. But Willie, from that time on, and I was even more proud that he asked for me to present the Lifetime Achievement and Gold Glove Awards to him in New York. So we had a wonderful, wonderful history, and I was thankful. But I always learned when I was young, never expect people to be impressed with who you are or what you've done. Because if you go through that, don't expect it. Because there are people out there. 50,000 people go to a baseball game. 25,000 leave happy, 25,000 leave upset. And they saw the same thing. I go 2 for 5. I hit 2 home runs. I drive in 5 runs. I go out to the restaurant after the game bar. Guy walks up and says, hey, I saw you strike out and pop up. So if you go out there and believe everybody's supposed to be impressed with who you are or what you've done, you're still you. I grew up in a town of 661 people. We had to go look for a 9th player some days just to finish Little League. And so I grew up pulling cotton and chopping peanuts, combining peanuts, baling hay. So I'm just the same guy, and I'll always be my mom and dad's son.
Right. That is so cool. Tell us more about your dad, Johnny, and tell us, please, the Bob Gibson story that you told me, because if you don't tell it, I'm going to tell it.
Well, my dad served the 2 hitches in the war. He came back and he started working for his uncle, who had a propane business. We delivered propane to the houses and to the farms for irrigation in the tanks and stuff. I did that when I was 15. But my dad and I would watch the game of the week every Saturday with Gene Kirby, Pee Wee Reese, and Dizzy Dean. But we would go down to Helm's Grocery. We'd get a half-gallon Neapolitan ice cream. We'd fill our bowls up, and we'd sit there and eat it while we watched the game. Now, Dad, he had actually batted against Satchel Paige in little sandlot stuff after he did, and I watched him play, and he could do lots of stuff. But he'd sit there and, like every fan, how in the hell could he watch that? How could he miss that pitch? Hell, I could hit that guy. I could hit him. How can he? Ralph 30 throw a curve. By hell, I could hit that guy. So it was embedded in me. And so I get called up by the Reds to St. Louis, up to Cincinnati, and we go to St. Louis. And I called Mom and Dad, and I said, I can get you tickets. I'll get you a room. Come on up to St. Louis and watch. So I said, okay. So they come. So at first night, I'm going to really impress the hell out of them. But we faced a pitcher by the name of Bob Gibson that first time. And I don't know if his ERA was 1.12 that year or what, but all of a sudden I'm up there and I strike out. And I go up the second time and I strike out. And I go up the third time and I strike out. And I'm coming back and I'm walking by the batter on deck circle. And just before I get to the dugout, our manager was Dave Bristol. Dave was kind of like Sergeant Carter on Gomer Pyle, USMC. You didn't think of anything but baseball. There was nothing but baseball. And I start to smile as I get to the on-deck circle. And by the time I reach the dugout, I'm grinning. And he's down here. It took 3 or 4 steps in, so he had to walk down the rail. He looked up at me and said, "What in the hell is so funny?" I said, I was just thinking, I don't think Dad can hit this guy.
That's when you knew how great Bob Gibson was.
Yeah.
Even your dad couldn't hit him.
Yeah, I couldn't.
All right, so Johnny, you over the years have become, don't be humble about this, the MC of the Hall of Fame. When a new player comes in, you're always the first one to welcome him. You are the ringleader. Where did that come from? Did you take that mantle on yourself, or did someone pass it to you?
No. I'm a welcomer. I'm just a guy who greets people and likes people and befriends people, and I think they deserve a call. I don't know if anybody else calls or not. I don't worry about it. They don't ask me to do it. That's just who Johnny is. Right. My mom and dad and all, we'd be proud of it, but I like to be personal. I like to be respectful. I like to congratulate people on the awards that they win. And so when I call them, I tell them, then I give them my advice. Keep a diary. And I tell you, after, if it's the induction, when the announcement is made, I tell them, start now. But I talked to all 3 last week, and I said, now this is going to start. So I want you to keep your diary, and I want your wife to keep a diary, because this is going by so fast, and you're going to think on Monday or Tuesday, what the heck happened? All 3 of them come up to me, and I say, I got my diary going.
Did you keep a diary?
I didn't. That's why I want them to do it. I learned.
So one of the highlights for my dad back in 2022 when we were here was right pretty much above us was the veranda, and you pulled him aside. And what advice did you give him on his weekend joining this club?
Well, I'm not. I have another ritual that I do afterwards, but to enjoy the moment. But you're going to spend so much time trying to accommodate everybody else, and you're going to forget the moment of what you achieved. So you have to take a minute and think about who you are and where you are. This isn't all about them anymore. It's about me. Mm-hmm. And so I hope that's what I shared
exactly
with you.
What you did, Johnny. It was the highlight of my Hall of Fame weekend that I sat on that veranda with the greatest catcher of all time. And you told me to look at that lake for 1 minute.
I did.
Do not say a word. Think about where you are, how you got here, and how many people helped get you here. And I'm sorry, I teared up because it was the most emotional moment of that weekend for me.
And I've done it for years, and it seemed odd to some of the guys.
Right.
Then I had Cal Ripken say, can I get him? Can I help you get him in the chair? I mean, it's like, you always think somebody's, it's kind of corny and everything else. And then I have almost year after year, they come to me and said, thank you for doing that. That meant so much to me. And the guys that you call just to say, hey, congratulations, well-deserved. You deserve to be here. You're going to have a great week. We'll welcome you and do all this stuff. And when they get here, they say, thank you. That was a great call. And it's not for my own glory. I don't do it, but it's for their. Because I was the guy. And when Pee Wee Reese put his arm around me after my speech, after I gave my speech, induction speech, he put his arm around me and whispered in my ear, "That was great.
Right. Wow.
You're a Hall of Famer."
Right. How'd you do on your speech, Johnny? Were you scared to death before you went up there, or being you, were you ready to go?
I did not. All I had was a few ideas, and
then you kind of winged it from there.
Well,
right?
I didn't have any notes. No. 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 I mean,
this man walked around the Harris Teeter local grocery store memorizing his 10-page speech.
I saw Adrian Beltre, and he's got his folder,
right
under his arm, and I said, "Could I see that?" And he said, "No, you can't see that. I already heard about you," because I took a couple of one year. I took his notebook, one of our inductees' notebooks. Oh my gosh!
Wait, you took a notebook away, the notes away from a guy who was going in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
And he was
going ready to go out for the speech. And oh my God, he's walking, and we're laughing. He's walking around the room. I go, and then first thing he says, "I heard about you. Guys, come up now. I heard about you. Stay away." Can you imagine people who don't like to talk to begin with? I mean, you know how public speaking is for people. It's not doing it. But no, I had it all. I didn't have anything, really. I just got up. I was in 8th grade. I was Johnny Bench from the Binger 4-H Club. And for my speech, I have chosen Birds of the World. I mean, it was interesting because I just got a note from from back home. It was Leland's going to be 96 years old. And he was the 4-H leader of Caddo County. And back in those days. And I'll be forever grateful that I learned to stand up and speak. And memorize. I never had a problem memorizing anything. Teacher would have a poem, I would do it before class was over.
It sounds like if you didn't make it to the ball field, you could have made it to the stage, because I've heard you have a great singing voice.
I know the words, and sometimes...
And you're a performer.
I sang with the symphony, with Eric Kunzel and the Cincinnati Pops. I played professional golf. I played 9 senior tour events. I bowled professionally. I used to play tennis once a year and gave it up. It just got to be too much work. So I love music, and I wished I had a thoracotomy, which is I had lung surgery 4 days after I turned 25. I had developed a coccidioidomycosis, which is called the valley fever. And so a lot of people, they're not aware of it, but 4 days after the 72 playoffs in the World Series, I went in, they cut me from here all the way back to here. And it was a brand new surgery. It was used with staples that they had never done before, because usually they open up your back. And my Dr. Gonzalez was trying to avoid that. And so, when you tell people, what do you think of your career? And I said, well, it wasn't as good as it would have been. Because the difference in greatness is about 5 to 6 inches, because that's where you hit the ball. So in my physical ability, and I had 25 vision, I could actually get to the ball out there. So hitting the ball out here as opposed to hitting it there, now things are slower. I mean, your reaction. In a baseball, you have a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, you have 0.42 seconds from the time it leaves the pitcher's hand till it crosses home plate. You have 0.17 seconds reaction time. So the brain, the cameras are the eyes, the brain sees the camera, and so it has to identify location, speed, spin, and then send the signal to the nerves and muscles, and they react. And that after they cut the nerves and cut the bone and cut the muscle, then I was down to probably a little less, and I never had the career that I think I could have had.
Johnny, you don't play golf anymore, is that correct?
Warranty ran out. When I was 18, I was driving back I had broken my thumb in Buffalo, and I went I went back to Oklahoma City, and drove up to Wichita to see my American Legion teammates play. And I drove back to Oklahoma City to stay with my brother. 4-lane highway, pulled out to pass the bus. Here's the drunk driver on the wrong side. I hit the brakes, hit me right in the door. I didn't regain consciousness. I gained consciousness getting into the ambulance. And then when I don't remember anything about it. I think I remember sort of going into the emergency room. And then the doctor came in afterwards and said, son, you got the biggest bones I've ever seen in my life. He said, nobody but you would walk out of here.
But you're going to pay the price. By that build.
I had the thing. And he said, but later on, you'll have arthritis, you'll have problems, you'll have all this stuff. And so I've had both hips replaced. Knees are still perfect shape, but the back, the shoulders, and all this stuff and everything else, it's almost like being a catcher every day.
Well, it's worth noting that 50% of the hips on this podcast right now have been replaced. Dad has one, two over there. Right. I still have the originals at age 30, thank goodness. Now, speaking of golf, my dad wanted to play golf at Leatherstocking for Father's Day last year, and we took a picture on, it's the seventh hole, right?
Right.
At your plaque, and Dad sent you the photo.
He did.
Right, and
he was lying 3 or 4. I don't remember.
he laid up twice to get there. At 346 yards as little guys, we're not getting there maybe even in 2.
Right. You remember what you wrote to me when I sent you the picture? You wrote,
gosh.
No, here's what you wrote.
How many foul balls did you take in the head? Do I remember?
Actually, you were kind for once. You said you outdrove me again. And I wrote, and I hit a 3-wood. Johnny, you hit a golf ball 346 yards in 1992. That's impossible. You can't do that, but you did.
Well, I drove a 403-yard par 4 in Vegas, and then I 3-putted. So I don't really. I mean, but it was like there was a plaque there at the Sarah Golf. Yeah, at the golf course at Sarah. And I had a plaque there that said, Johnny Bench drove this green.
But, Johnny, 7 here on this diabolically difficult course is an uphill.
Yeah, I hit it good,
right,
Tim. I hit it good.
John Smoltz told me on an airplane once, he said, Johnny Bench hit the cart path on that hole. I'm sure of it. Have you heard that before?
Oh, gosh, especially from Smoltzy. Yeah. Who cannot, he's going to be the greatest golfer ever. And he's got that drive and that spirit, and nobody can hit it that far.
Right. Johnny, you talked about how big your hands were even when you were 5'2".
Yeah, my dad was like that.
Where did they come from?
Dad.
Right.
My dad was only 5'9", and his was about that much shorter is all it was.
Right.
And now I've got to be known for something.
Right. And we have a picture of you, of course, the famous picture of you holding 7 baseballs at one time. Was that you just messing around one day and say, I could do this?
You shag in the outfield when they were batting practice. And so you pick up 4 balls, and you just put them in. I could pick up 4 balls and put them in the bucket.
Right.
Because they take it up to the batting practice pitcher. And they said, how many can you get? I said, can you get another one? I said, yeah, I think you could. Got one. Then all of a sudden it became 6, and then it became 7. And then all of a sudden it was like, like you do. You like today, you'd send it out on social media, Johnny Bench, grabbing 6 baseballs or 5 baseballs or 7 baseballs. And all of a sudden, it's for some reason, people love that.
It's a great photo, and we're gonna pull it up on the YouTube channel so people can see it as well. Joe Mauer's getting inducted this year. Is there ever a special tie for you when a great catcher goes into the hall?
Well, and catcher is the word. That was a question as to Joe Mauer.
Yep.
When I was playing in the senior event in Minnesota. In Blaine, Minnesota, I was playing in the 3M Senior Championship, and the reporter came out and said, have you heard about this kid, Mauer? And I said, yeah, it's very, very impressive right now. And he said, well, what do you think? Is he going to he's going to be the next you? And I said, well, let's wait 6 or 7 years, and then we'll see. Can he maintain it? Can he do it without getting hurt? Can he, it's just, how's your sustainability? So he wound up, 7 years after that, he got the hamstrings. He had to go to first base. He had to do stuff and everything else. The batting titles, nicest kid you'll ever meet. I mean, just a wonderful man, great catcher. But again, you judge someone for their whole, their whole effort in baseball. So the batting titles, MVP, and everything else carried him through. The catching, at 7 years, you guys know however you're going to rate them.
Right. And your knees are still okay after all these years.
I got big bones, Tim.
Can you get down in a catcher stance right now?
Why?
I'm not saying you should.
Would you want to show me? Can you?
I can, and it hurts. And I'm only 67 years old, and I never caught a day in my life, and I still have trouble.
If you touched the stove and it was hot, you didn't do it again. So you don't squat again, No, I don't have any need to go down.
Right. Good for you. Do you watch a lot of baseball these days, and do you like what you see?
I don't have the time to watch a whole game. I'll watch certain games. I'll watch certain deals. I'm a box score man. I've always been a box score man. I can't wait for. I got my MLB app. I go in. I watch every box score. I go through almost every team.
Every day.
Every team, yeah, every day.
Is there anything, like my dad's a nut with box scores, and I've become the same way. He's looking to see if a score line makes a phone number, or looking for the, all of these little
weird.
quirks. It is weird. Yeah. Is there anything that you like to see in a box score that excites you?
No, we have the Johnny Bench Catchers Award, which is the college catcher of the year. I've included now women as softball, so now we have the women's softball player of the year. And we have 4 states around Reds country: Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, and Indiana. So we honor those kids. So, I mean, we've got like 15 guys that have won the award or been nominated for the award that are in the major leagues. And so I go in and see how they're doing. Adley Rutschman, and then you got, even Schwarber was a nominee at the time. Then you had Garrett Stubbs, and then you go to Suzuki, and then you go. But I love to see how they're doing. I mean, I try to follow their careers and what they're up to and all the stuff. Like to see who the pitchers are, winning pitchers. I like to go and see the stats. Who's got the RBIs, who's doing the stuff. I just think it's really, really fun for me. And then I'll check on the Reds and see and what's the averages, what's all the stuff. So I try to stay involved. I mean, I still have a connection.
That is so good. Just to finish, Johnny, when people ask you, like, what is Cooperstown like, especially on a weekend like this, how do you describe what this is like?
Well, first of all, it's Norman Rockwell. It's a town that had when I first came here, now it's been inundated with a lot of sports shops, everything else. And used to be a lot of mom and pops and stuff and everything else. It's a hallowed ground place that, you, in your imagination, you think about where would you go. I mean, into the magical fairy tales, where you would go to Cooperstown, or what would it be like? And you can't imagine driving into the town and then seeing how quaint it is, how up and down the street it is, the main street, little tiny houses on the way, and then you think about, and it starts to grow on you as the fans start to come, and they come with this full of emotion, full of excitement. They've got they've got 10 players that they've always followed and known. And they want to see them. They want to catch a glimpse of them. More than anything, they want to share it with their child, their grandson. Mm-hmm. Say, you should have seen him. This guy was here. This guy was there. I was in that stands when he saw it. I did that. I saw it. I was there. And they love to pass on their little memory. For them, it doesn't have to be one. It's all. It's not like going to see a game and watch one particular player. You've got everybody here. And you just hope.
It is magical. And I think the fans, everybody has a childlike look in their eyes, no matter how old they are. Seeing their heroes, it's like you're transported back to being 8 years old eating a hot dog at, Shea Stadium. For you, my dad's a 3-time grandfather now, and you just recently became a grandfather. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How is that for you? Is it the most incredible thing like it is for my dad?
Well, I never thought my oldest son, I wasn't sure he would get married, and then I wasn't sure he'd ever want children and everything else. So, to have that child for the first time and hold it and everything else, and just say, and you're not going to be there for his entire life. How do we, and you think, okay, they're going to be great parents, and they're going to give him an education, and they'll be strict. Probably too strict in some ways, knowing my son and his, but that's what discipline is, and that's what you need, and that's the way you need to learn. So, it's the same thing. Let me watch my children grow to see what they become. Lord, don't let that cold wind blow till I'm too old to die young. And so I got a kid going into college. I got a kid going into sophomore. That's the love. I just got married. I mean, my life couldn't be better right now. Wow. And to top it off, I get to be on the Tim Kurkjian. I mean, how can it get any better than this? I'm talking about the cherry on top.
We got to leave right there.
Let me watch my children grow to see what they become. Lord, don't let that cold wind blow till I'm too old to die young.
Wow.
That was
Johnny
great.
Bench,
I told
everybody.
you could sing. I told him you could sing.
I knew I could sing.
Right. Johnny Bench, thank you for joining. Is this a great game or what?
Always for Timmy. Anything. You too, Jeff. Nice to be with you.
You too.
And gosh, I hope this show goes. I hope you make some money because I didn't get anything for it. I can tell you that. I didn't even get a shirt, a T-shirt. It's a hat or a shirt, but maybe I'll get you to sign a baseball later on.
Right.
Nice try.
Right. We didn't get paid either, Johnny. Believe me.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love that. I'm going to believe that one
Right.
too. Yeah. Well, you think I wrote in here with a head of lettuce?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Our chief investor, my dad's wife, my mom. We keep saying we need more money for travel.
Get you. I'm trying to get him an agent. I mean, my gosh, he wants to go up to the shop and help them out.
Yeah.
So, let them pay you for being here. Now you got to pay for gas to get from Baltimore to Philadelphia.
I
really feel bad now. I feel like I want to put something. If you'll leave a tip can, maybe
tip
I'll
jar.
I'll put something in it for you. I'm worried about him. I'll talk to Dan next, or if I ever see whoever's on this program.
Oh my
Johnny,
God.
thank you.
You're welcome.
That was so
Johnny, thank you so much.